I saw Joe Biden walk out there, and I don't know whether the Democratic National Convention is going to be in New York, Chicago, Atlanta. Those are the three major cities. But wherever it is, it could be years from now when you are sitting in your office or you're a federal judge or you overseas doing something, you may look back and say, that was the moment that the Democrats lost the midterm elections and lost the election of 2024. Because in that moment, Joe Biden could have at least appointed a czar, as you say. It has his power. He has the power to do that. What he also could have done, he talked about, what did he talk about? He talked about renewing the 94 to 2004 assault weapons ban. And Dr. Walker, Larry, you may have been on the Hill or around there, so you could probably walk us through what happened. Of course, they let it lapse. But then 4 years later, Obama was elected, and that's when the real shift took place because they said, oh, my God, look, a Negro. We must never let that happen. That's when the United States went over the edge, and the White Nationalist Party dropped all pretenses. He said you should lock up your guns and have the trigger locks. Okay. Then he said you should have the red flag laws. Okay. And 19 states have them, and the one in Delaware is named for my son. Okay. And then he started talking about mental health. And counselors and nurses and okay, that's right, mentors. Or where's he going with this? And then he said, and that's why Congress must act. The House has passed legislation. And in the Senate, and I said, here he goes. He's about to blow up the filibuster. He said, we need 60 votes. You motherfucker. See, President Biden, sir, I can't call you brother because we don't have the same lineage. I know y'all like your 8 eyes people, but the point is this. You believe in something that doesn't exist.
Right.
Malcolm X said you're speaking a language they don't understand. Do you understand today that a white nationalist congressman from Missouri, from the 7th District, Missouri, around Springfield, named Billy Long, said he wants to get reelected and he's going to push to get Kamala Harris out as vice president, put Trump in, and then push to get you to resign, sir? It's absurd, but he also said today that the gun violence, he said that's because there's no respect for life in America. And guess what he blamed it on? He said a woman's right to choose to terminate a pregnancy. Abortion is the reason for gun violence. These white boys are playing for the whole ball of wax, and you still talking as if this is a nation. You're the president of the damn United States of America. You may have lost the election tonight, but only thing that might save you is the people in the United States of America, including apparently too many people in this chat, have the memory of a fruit fly. So they're not going to remember tonight that when faced with a moment when you could have decisively said, we're going to need to blow up the filibuster. I'm talking to you, Joe Manchin, and I'm talking to you, Kristen Sinema, tonight. Enough is enough. Instead of saying that, or instead of saying, as you just heard Tatiana say, and these young people have been organizing since before Sandy Hook, since before Marjorie Stoneman, but they in the streets. And you could have said tonight, I'm appointing a czar, and they're going to coordinate all federal policy, and I'm going to do everything in my power. We've already teed up, and tomorrow you're going to see me sign these orders. In other words, you could have done that, but instead of that, you went through all the things you want. Then you held up those babies that you talked about and those elders you talked about, and you said it takes 60 votes. No, it don't take 60. Larry, tell them that's a Senate rule. No. You swung and you missed tonight, Joe. There are things you could have done. This young lady right here told you right now one of the things you could have done, and that would have cost you nothing.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
We are a new, unsettling force, and we are powerful. New, unsettling force, and we are here.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
Because we know that there is no scarcity in this land. The only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
We are those with sub-minimum wage jobs who can't afford sky-high rent.
People with disabilities are the fastest growing minority group.
It's crazy to me that in 2021, it's still legal for workplaces to pay a sub-minimum wage to people with disabilities.
There are still so much trial and tribulations that we go through as Indigenous people. We can't get a decent wage to sustain ourselves, nor can we get adequate housing.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. We can't pat essential workers on the back on one day and then cut their health care the next day.
Health is a political choice.
What more do I need to do to prove that my voice is just as valuable as anyone else's?
There are still forces in denial that would try to slow walk our transition to a clean economy and a just future for us all.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we walk and we fight.
It's time for a change. Reconstruyamos esta gran nación.
See, we are people of resilience. As we fight these interlocking injustices together,
When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together, we become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed. We need the third Reconstruction to ensure that deaf people, people with disabilities, and all people can have the right to live and to thrive.
We know what they are doing, but the question is, what are we going to do? Reconstruction begins when we change our mentality and say it's time for you to get your foot off of my neck.